Welcome back to Now Loading Esports. My name is Kanor, and you're watching the solo stream tonight. My co-caster Austin is out this week, so you're left with the smooth, sultry Kanor stream tonight. We've got some more Overwatch scrims, specifically some more Kutztown University. Their Team 1 has been doing great lately. I've loved watching their scrims, and tonight we've got the return of the PK factor. Last week we had a whole week without him. We saw some really entertaining and surprisingly very good gameplay from their substitute from their second team, their B team, which was Oko. I've watched him grow as a player over the last semester and a half, and he's really turned into quite the player. So hats off to him. I'm sure he'll be watching tonight in some fashion or playing with Team 2 as they're also scrimming. Weekly Overwatch 2 update. Not much, only a little bit. We've got a couple leaks from a couple people. We had XQC accidentally leak the loading screen, which is probably also a work in progress. He started his game and he was still on the Overwatch 2 region test, so he did fix it. We unfortunately didn't get anything more than that from him, or he probably would have been in federal prison for that NDA they made him sign. And part 2 of our Overwatch 2 news this week came from one of the artists, actually, who worked on mock-ups for the UI. And what we got from that information was that there's going to be a battle pass in Overwatch 2, and I don't know how to feel about it yet. Honestly, I think what Blizzard has done with the product, really, Overwatch has been great, except obviously for these past like almost 2 years now since we've had any new content. In fact, we've had negative content with them removing Paris and Horizon from the quick play and competitive map pools. I believe you can still access them through the custom game lobby, but you can't through normal means. So, and I think that's a good thing. I think that that's them recognizing that they have some issues with their game, and I do think it came about a year late, but at least they did it. So we're back tonight with some Kutztown scrims and their team rival, the Royal Mooncakes. 8:04 p.m. here, Now Loading Esports. We're going to be starting out tonight on a classic start map, Lijiang Tower. This is a collegiate staple for collegiate esports in general, and this is the map that'll set the tone for the rest of the scrim. We're going to see a lot of super aggressive, high damage, fast compositions tonight. Compositions that won't do well long range, compositions that are only built for, insanely close, insanely high damage output, burst damage compositions. Kind of like close range death ball without your Reapers, without your Brigs, typically. So it's more of a balls to the wall kind of composition, if you will. Minus the Hammond that would be part of that wall. Kutztown looks like they're setting up for a pretty typical comp, although I do see Bonewheel hovering Zenyatta here, which would be a big mistake. And there's the switch. We've got that Lucio pick, we've got that Bat pick. These are the two important things we need, right? We need the speed boost, and we need that that Baptiste Immortality field because of the amount of high damage that's going to be coming out. So pretty much a mirror comp on both sides, although we'll see a Sigma here from Fargon. Kutztown's team they're playing against tonight, the Royal Mooncakes. Gonna try to show their stuff. Excited to see what they've got. We've got a pretty good cutoff from Kutztown here, but it turns out that it doesn't matter when Alleluia on that Reinhardt's just gonna run through PK Factor after PK Factor. Gets one trade there. And a really nice use of that shield again from Alleluia as he's pushing up, as he doesn't want to kill Kutztown too fast, especially now that they're out of mech. They want a slow respawn, and so that point wasn't unlocked. There was no point for them to kill. Sponty close to his mech, does get killed. Now Kutztown forced it back. They're gonna have to maybe take this teleporter if they get pushed too hard. Looks like they'll be alright. A bit of a further chokehold. I do like sitting around this little spaceship capsule here instead. Royal Mooncakes showing that they have good positioning here. Except for Veggies will get caught out. I mean, sometimes it just happens. Even if you've got the best positioning, sometimes it will just happen and you'll get picked. It's unlucky, but what you have to do is you gotta back up and you gotta use your ultimates here. We've gotta out-ult the enemy team. We're gonna see Lunamare here use his first and use that shield. That's a great placement there from Lunamare, catching Kutztown in a position where they can't back up without having a shield in front of them still. Great move, great move. Kutztown forced out and Veggies just kind of laying into Kutztown as they get out here. Royal Mooncake's taking a good 60% on the point from Kutztown. Looks like they're just struggling to get the damage. Big Rick will be switching over to that McCree. I'm not sure how much I agree with this pick. Here comes the tire from around back and it will catch Bone Wheel off early. Now Kutztown has to back up. I mean, this is just bad news for them again. Big Rick's got to get out of here. Amaya Mora, hope I got that name right, it's gonna catch Big Rick out. What a bit Reddit Lucio on him. I'm sure he watches his red shell. Amaya Mora catching him out pretty far into their spawn. And now Kutztown forced to panic, use a bit of ultimates here, but PK Factor gets a little overzealous with his and will get caught. Kutztown was trading even just for a second there, but now even with these ultimate usages here, are forced to rotate to this point, and they're down 2 players right now. PK Factor, Big Rick, and Sponty here. Got to be the dream team. For now, they've captured the point, which will buy them another couple seconds. As Kutztown still does control the point. Yeah. Wow. Etc. Eternal just up top here with this amplification matrix just shooting down on Kutztown. Not getting a ton of damage, but Kutztown able to stall for a little bit at least here. May be able to, after these ultimates run out for the Mooncakes, maybe able to get something happening here with a bit of luck. Veggie's using his Riptire there just to clean off PK Factor. Now we've got 2 players from Kutztown left here. Litlow, both the healers just unable to get there in time. That was a great first map. I think super just overall solid positional play there from the Mooncakes. Hoping that I don't mispronounce any names here. Let's go down the list here. We've got Alleluia on the Reinhardt, his tank duo Fargan. We've got Alleluia. I mean, this shatter here was pretty big. Kind of stopping Kutztown there in that choke. Kutztown forced to use a couple abilities to get out, but now, you know, as you can see here in this replay, just enough players alive, enough healthy players there in that corner that they could just rotate back to the point and catch him out. Veggies and Lunamare here did a pretty good job. I like the damage output from Veggies. Able to do some work on that Junkrat. 6,330 damage so far from that character. Good job. I mean, Junkrat's not as easy as he originally looks, especially in these super rush comps. It's pretty hard sometimes to find value, especially against a D.Va. D.Va's very, very powerful right now, and you know, kind of undoes all of Junkrat's kit with one button. So you've got to be aware of that D.Va positioning, and I think Veggies does a good job. Royal Mooncake's looking to leave spawn here with a Moira. Now this is oh, and Kutztown looks like they might be opting for it as well. Looks like these more rush dive comps with the Sombra do call for a Moira in the recipe. Kutztown looking for something here. Bonewheel practicing his rollout, seeing if they went over the bridge, and they got over there quick enough where they couldn't catch him. Kutztown taking a bit of a disadvantaged position here, and Amaya Mora is going to find Big Rick early there from some damage with his tanks. Kutztown very well grouped, but I mean, against a Winston, that cleave damage from the Tesla cannon is going to do even more damage than if they were a little bit spread out. And it looks like a slow team fight win here for the Mooncakes. Kutztown getting a couple players back here. Royal Mooncakes losing one player to Big Rick, and Kutztown deciding to reset here. Big Rick just able to get out with that teleport. Bone Wheel distracting them for just long enough. Got out maybe 20 health there. That's pretty big. Kutztown does have both of their healers, and you'll see Etc. Eternals just now getting back from that pick that Big Rick gave. Hack onto PK Factor attempt was failed. Veggie's getting very close to an EMP. Pretty tied with Char. Here comes Char, probably looking to set something up for an EMP here if Kutztown is not going to win this fight, but it looks like maybe deciding to hold on to it and risk losing the team fight, and it was a very smart decision. Looks like it will pay off for Kutztown. Yeah, we see Char here and Veggies both with these EMPs. Now it's, you know, we've got EMP Death Blossom combo here with a Diva Bomb to boot for both teams. I mean, these ult charges are basically identical across the board right now. It's gonna about who uses it first, and there it is, everyone uses it. Kutztowns will yield a couple more EMP players, and the Reapers with the Death Blossom lifesteal trading constantly. Kutztown will come up 2 players with that hacked health pack because of the EMP. I mean, a great side effect of the work they did. I'm not sure they planned it, but Char hacking that EMP and getting a little bit of denial, healing denial there for the Royal Mooncakes. Royal Mooncakes are up in ultimate charge, so they do have this Diva Bomb, they do have the defensive sound barrier on the side of Amaya Hymera, excuse me. I'm gonna try to fix that now. Veggie's getting caught out here by Sponsy's spy checking abilities. Bone Wheel almost getting hacked now. The Winston battle will start on point. Bone Wheel taking an aggressive position here is very low on health. Very risky play being up there that close. Both teams full health still. We might see a primal rage here from from Hallelujah, and we will. Now the fight is just going everywhere. We have 2 coalescences, 1 for each team. Bone Wheel getting rid of Fargan's mech. This might mean something for Kutztown as Big Rick's able to spin freely, but Lunamare saying no, 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 no. You think you're safe without this Diva here, taking him out, and now an EMP may have been a little bit too overzealous here from Veggies. And I spoke too soon. Lunamare with a 4K and a 1v1 on the point with Lilo will find 5! Can he find 6 with Big Rick? He's got help. Looks like they're gonna find 6. Kutztown to 96% now on the point. Bone Wheel just trying to get that extra couple percent. I'm not sure he had to go all the way in. Kutztown's not at a 99 position here, but they're gonna go in really quick here with a lot of damage. Both supports on the side of the Royal Mooncakes will get EMP'd. Only one will survive. ATC Eternal taken out early. Lunamare very low. Kutztown starting to slowly push this fight. Wow, that was an incredible 2 fights there. I mean, we saw Lunamare with a 5K, almost 6K on Kutztown. Veggies, I apologize. That EMP was worth it. Wow. Yeah, I mean, we saw. Let's take one more look here at this 5K. Just incredible, getting 4 with the ultimate, 3 almost right away, and the 4th will be Litlo, who's the only person on Kutztown who was able to get out of the way. I mean, Lunamare, that was a play. Unfortunately, even if you're the best player and you have those kind of, you know, lucky hero moments, sometimes it still doesn't work out. Kutztown just came back super hard, and now we've got 1-1. Tied maps here so far. This is going to be a good scrim tonight if something like this continues. Getting ready here, teams are looking like they're going to be using a Pharah on Kutztown. We're seeing maybe, probably, I'm going to expect Char to switch here to a Symmetra, get that teleport out, and then we'll probably switch back to the Tracer so that he can get back to his team quick. 4 different tanks. Am I seeing 4 different tanks? I'm seeing 4 different tanks. I would love to see, I mean, honestly, these weeks have been a lot of mirror matches, a lot of who can play the composition better, but we have 2 completely different compositions. I'm seeing 12 different heroes right now, minus the Symmetra, which might change here, and it will. We've got 12 different heroes in a class-based shooter. I'm super excited. Mooncake's taking an early position on point. Big Rick's got a very important job now from the skies. Gotta poke him out. Sponty has to stay alive, but he's gotta disrupt the enemy team. They're deciding to push here on PK Factor, and Litlo will get caught out early, but Kutztown will have the point position, and Big Rick will find two really early there. ETC Eternals in a corner here now, but it's not quite over. They still do have healing. Sponty's trying to take out ETC Eternal from behind here. No point captures so far. Kutztown might decide to back up here as the fight becomes more losable and just take the point. Lunamare caught out a little bit here on this mega health pack. Looks like they're going to be speeding in. Very good regroup here from the Mooncakes, but just so much damage from that slam. Sponty, surprised nothing came of it. Lunamare kind of zoning them out, and there's Big Rick with one. Litlo gets taken out by Veggies now. It may be time to swap after getting focused twice here, but Big Rick is just putting so much damage down from above. I mean, look at that damage stat on the top left of your screen. You'll see Big Rick on that Pharah, 16, almost 17,000 damage for Kutztown. Almost 7,000 in front of the next damage dealer, which would be Sponty. I mean, their composition, Royal Mooncakes, does not cover Pharah. Even just a BAP can't do enough. I mean, maybe if you've got a Doomfist one trick who knows every rollout in the universe, you may be able to do it, but comes a bit of a risky teleport here. I do love this rotation. Big Rick may have an opportunity to boop. Looks like he decides to focus more on the point. So much damage coming down from him, but he's forced to do a little bit of a backwards maneuver here. Sponty finding a great, well-placed space mines on point, and will recover from getting punched off the map by Veggies. We see a lot of ultimates here committed in a 2-man Earthshatter from Alleluia. Will find one in the name of Char. Oh, that Diva Bomb from Kutztown finding nothing, and this is almost an even fight here. Kutztown does not control the point right now. They are losing percent by the second. Oh, Litlo turning left, finding ETC Eternal, walking back from spawn. He said, "You're not going to get back to your team. I will not allow it." And now the support 1v1 might commence. Char finding one after the respawn from earlier in that fight. Big Rick finding two, but getting taken out by ETC Eternal. Here comes Veggies down with a big meteor strike onto the point. Bonewheel going very high, but will not take any damage from it. Veggies will find two after the ultimate, and this is an incredibly scrappy fight. And Kutztown's just finally now getting point back. I mean, that was almost a fight as long as Kutztown controlled the point earlier. We saw almost an even amount of percentage there. Kutztown setting up to spam in this choke point. Sponty looking for a big slam on the players coming out of the choke. Looks like he's deciding to ignore the Doomfist. Go right for the teleporter. Another wide teleport here, chasing Litlo down in the backline. I love the idea. But here comes Veggies, like super far forward here, trying to take Sponty out, and will throw himself into the pit. The point presence is in the favor of the Mooncakes, but looks like Kutztown may be trying to come back in here and keep this point on their side. I like the idea, but it's going to cost them a lot of health here as their healers are nowhere to be found. Litlo with a great sleep dart onto Veggies will keep him alive, and it looks like maybe it didn't even matter. I mean, Veggies showing a lot of mechanical prowess on this map, but it just wasn't enough for his team against that Pharah. Wow. Yeah, we saw Veggie taking out Mercy here. Great punch on a Char, and then uppercut couple shots will take her out. Keep in mind, this is all after an ult. You know, that meteor strike actually didn't do any damage, really. Watch it back on the stream. I'm surprised he did not catch the Mercy with the ultimate, but I guess it was a bit of map geometry knowledge. I mean, we've got this Pharah play here too from Big Rick. I mean, like, so much damage on this map alone. Just really good shots onto the backline, especially of the Royal Mooncakes. And I mean, that's just so much pressure pre-fight for them. It's going to be hard for them to keep up. Alright, we've got a bit of a bunkery setup here on defense. I do love this Echo pick on defense. We've seen some great Echo play from Charlotte this semester. Very impressed with it. We've got the long-range sniper, Big Rick. The only thing that this comp will not do well against is, a death ball comp. This comp will do well against dive. This comp will do well against Pharahs. This comp will do well against the poke comp. Pretty even at least. But a death ball comp will do a little bit better if they can out-rotate Kutztown. Now, Kutztown's got to be careful here because if we do see a Lucio on the side of the Royal Mooncakes, they're going to have to know immediately that it means they're going to have to rotate very quickly against Kutztown. So, interested to see maybe the adaptation that will happen on the side of the Mooncakes after they see this composition. Looks like we're going to be swapping a player out and resetting. Bit of a NA host here, according to Kutztown. They're the ones hosting, so I guess that they have the right to say it. Lunamare hovering this far. I'd love to see it. It will be difficult, right? We've got a Mercy pocketing an Echo and a Mercy pocketing an Ashe. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of damage in the sky and on the ground towards the sky if Lunamare decides to keep this. Veggies will have, a pretty good amount of shields to go through. Shields, fortifies, kinetic grasps. Fargon's going to have to do a lot of work in making sure that he's using that kinetic grasp at the right time against Kutztown, right? They've got a lot of cooldowns that he needs to hit. They've got the Echo Sticky Bomb. They've got Big Rick's Dynamite on that Ashe. It's a lot of Sigma's kit right there in that kinetic grasp. Here we go on Rialto. Double shield from both teams. Double shield vertical DPS from both teams. Interesting composition here. A lot of damage from Char early, not enough to take anybody out. But Sponty getting some good damage out on these tanks. It's going to be a lot about these gravitic fluxes. A great pull there from Alleluia, but his team just does not follow up. Litlo might be getting caught out here, and he will. Little Sigma flank. No footsteps on that character, so he probably got a little surprised when he was right behind him. PK Factor getting caught out here. Looks like Kutztown may have fumbled the bag, if you will, on this first point. No ults used on either side. There wasn't really much of a fight, and we'll see Lunamare swap off that far onto a soldier. Interesting pick. We'll see how it works out. Some players just can pull off the soldier. Big Rick being one of them. Char winning the 2v1 with Bonewheel against Lunamare. Kutztown has a bit of a foothold here now on the second point, and the resurrect attempt from Starlight will be met with sticky bombs from Charlotte. Another 2v1 that Veggies will be taking here. Looks like he will decide to back off. I think it's a smart play, and Char with another. That's 3 kills, super spaced out. That's really good for Kutztown. This will give them a lot more space on this cart to move forward if they want. They have more time with this Orisa PK Factor to get more of these pull value sticky bombs and dynamites. Here comes a pull from PK Factors, probably looking for something on a DPS, and we'll find one with a rock combo with Sponty, but it's just not enough damage right now. There isn't any more follow-up, and now Kutztown is split in half with this Dragon Strike from Veggies. Char with an amazing placement of this Soldier 76 duplicate from the Echo will force a rough high ground position here, and we'll find one before turning back into Echo. Count them, 2 kills on that tactical visor. Charlotte, this damage is great. Pretty much matching damage with Big Rick. Big Rick probably putting a lot more damage into tanks and forcing them to be a little bit more careful when they push up, but Charlotte going for those backline characters. That's what Echo excels in, right? Finding those characters that are even just a little bit out of position in the backline because of her range and her reach with that focusing beam. It's just a dangerous character. Alleluia deciding to use that Orisa ultimate, that supercharger, a little bit early to try to push Kutztown back, and it looks like it's working. They're going to decide to move back here, and Lunamare on a bit of a backwards flank here on the left side. A bit of an off angle, trying to find someone out, and with some help from Veggies, we'll find Litlo. Kutztown's down 1, but they're not out. They still do have that res they can use. It looks like they're deciding not to use it. Save, you know, that gravitic flux that they have and just die on the cart. Bone Wheel the sole member. Good adaptation, great flank, and damage from Lunamare and Veggies that would push Kutztown back. Kutztown reassembling their team up on the high ground here. They want to grab this from the Mooncakes before they can get there, but it looks like they may have a tank or two there already. It's up to the more aggressive tank line who gets this space now, as it was pretty even, and a great pull there from Hallelujah to take Kutztown down, and now you'll see them rotate out into this hallway, excuse me, onto this platform on the top of the stairs. Sponty with it looks like a 2-man gravitic flux, won't find anything from it. Defensive abilities getting used here from the Mooncakes. Dragon Strike with a pull from the Mooncakes. I mean, that was a great move. Litlow getting put very low, but a great reaction from Litlow with that immortality field. A Bob onto cart just to try to keep it where it is and catch any players that are on it from Big Rick, and even just the positioning that it caused will push these players back, and Char will get 2 and transform with that duplicate into a Baptiste. I'm not sure, maybe that was a misclick, but hey, it worked out. So yeah, everything that worked out was never a misclick. Kutztown again fighting back on this first point. They're into a bit of a rhythm where they'll lose their first fight on a point and then they'll win their second fight and get a foothold. Wow, Fargun eating that halt from the PK factor. It's saving their team from a little bit of extra damage with that, you know, knock-up, effectively a knock-up. But damn, Sigma's in sync there with that, that rock, that kinetic, excuse me, I can't remember the word for the ability. PK factor, the lone man on the stairs here will find safety behind his shield with about 10 health left. And you know how long that lasts with the Orisa with that hitbox size. Kutztown trying to fight back with a gravitic flux, but nothing will come of it. Yeah, it seems like it's the battle of this, you know, this Sigma accretion rocks. A lot of pull damage with them so far. Kutztown with one last chance here on this point. 50 seconds left. If they win this, this is a great position for them with a lot of ultimates coming up. Lunamare saying that's not going to happen, man. Taking out 1, taking out 2 from a great position here on this patio. Finding Litlow, fighting him in the backline. We'll find him with the focusing beam. PK Factor, Sponty, and Bonewheel, the 3 Kutztown members remaining. We'll get 1 kill with respawns from Kutztown. This may mean a little bit extra time off the clock, and it looks like Charlotte's unable to get there. Great cleanup there from the Mooncakes. Now the whole map changes here on this third point. It's a pretty short point. You only really need to win 2 team fights. 1 here, 1 at the very end with stall characters. Kutztown, if they do die here, they're going to want to switch to some characters that can get there quicker and stay on the point longer. PK Factor and Sponty going for some pretty risky pulls with that Orisa, and Fargon will find Big Rick with that 75 damage at the beginning of that grasp. That flux, excuse me. Bob just to kind of seal the point where it is, but this flank from 3 members on the Mooncakes is going to be a lot of trouble for them. Nightmare, Veggies, and Starlight all caught on this left side here. Charlotte finding 1 in the back with the duplicate, and Kutztown will have a respawn advantage here. Royal Mooncakes are going to have to move fast to get these kills, and it looks like they're starting to do so. Kutztown getting forced backwards. 5 versus 3 right now on the point. Kutztown down some members, but it doesn't mean they're out quite yet. They've got to do, Royal Mooncakes have got to do a lot of cleanup very quickly if they want to get this done, or they're going to be wasting their time, as there's only 33 seconds left on the clock. Kutztown slowly losing this fight here. We'll find 1 up in the air. ETC Eternal will get taken out. Kutztown with some fast characters. Charlotte with the Bastion pick coming out to try to surprise the Mooncakes with something, and it looks like it may be working. He's going to get some value from the damage. I mean, if you can't leave this character alone for 1 second, and now, you know, he could decide to keep on the character, but it looks like he decided to switch off here. I like the little gadget pick. Kutztown likes pulling this out every couple weeks. on a team on a last point of a map just to try to shake them up, really. And a great rock there from Sponty. We'll stop the stall, and I say that, Alleluia with a great rollout onto the point. PK Factor catching 2, 1 Veggies, 1 being ETC Eternal earlier. Mooncakes have got to get on here very quick and deal damage, but they're just falling to this defensive team. Fargon with one last hurrah, eating Big Rick's pulse bomb that he gained over these last, minute and a half. And Kutztown stopping the Royal Mooncakes before 0.3 on Rialto.
0-2. Switching sides.
I mean, I love this little gadget Bastion pick that Kutztown has on defense. Sometimes on offense, on maps like Kings Row where players aren't expecting it, you can kind of surprise them with that. And I mean, speaking of Charlotte here, we just saw so much echo damage, just so hard for them to deal with. I can tell Charlotte's been practicing this character a lot. We see it most in the sticky bomb usage. It's gonna find, I mean, 1, 2 in the air, falling back on the Kutztown side. I mean, great mechanical prowess shown by Charlotte there from Kutztown. Now, if you're, the Royal Mooncakes here, we saw an interesting defense from Kutztown. We're going back into a little bit of a replay here on the second point here. We saw the BAP switch. I will eat my words, it was not a misclick from Charlotte. Did purposefully pick the BAP and took a incredibly aggressive position. The medium range aim is great. And we'll find 2 and use the amplification matrix to take out Lunamare on that Soldier 76. So there's defense here for Royal Mooncakes. We saw what they did offensively on Lijiang. This is the first time we're going to see them in a defensive position. We've seen some teams leaning on this Torbjorn for anti-dive, to try to catch those flankers, those Sombras, those Tracers, and try to protect their backline a little bit more. On top of that, if there's no flankers, a good turret is basically, a 7th player for a little while. Kutztown's going to have to shut it down. Charlotte and Litlow specifically, that is their job.
Attackers incoming.
No turret placed yet. Actually, there is a turret. I couldn't see it in the glob of teammates that they have. But we've got some flankers here. Big Rick's going to struggle against this Torb turret here. They took an advanced position here on this high ground, and Sponty tried to call him out for it and boop them forward into Kutztown's open, loving arms, but it just didn't turn out for them. All of them just barely staying on that high ground. And now they're going to back off and give a little bit of the high ground to Kutztown. Veggies is going to overload here and try to catch someone out. Charlotte will find 1 forward turret position here. Lunamare finding 1 in a weird flank on the inside, getting very close to Kutztown, and actually getting out relatively unscathed. Lunamare is going to have to clean up right now, or Kutztown's going to have some players coming back. Kutztown's got to be careful not to die right now, or they're going to have an even longer stall between fights. Echo Mercy versus Pharah Mercy here. Big Rick in the backline with no recall is in a bit of trouble here. There comes the whole team to try to get after him, and he did stick a character. It looked like he did stick Veggies. I'm not sure how he lived. I didn't see an immortality field go down there. I'm going to have to watch that back again, but an even fight so far. Kutztown maybe down 1 player, but a respawn advantage means a slow fight can win them this. Veggies with a very aggressive Molten Core here will not find anything, but it will find a positional advantage, forcing Kutztown out into the open. Char finding 1, getting taken down by this turret, and Fargon's fist. Big Rick forced to leave and will get spammed out, barely getting out with about 20 health. PK Factor, the lone person on the point, 1v2, trying to just find anything for Kutztown, and he'll find 1 in their healing lineup. This could be something good for Kutztown if they can make use of this quickly, but they're going to have to act fast. Starlight's coming in with this res, and all of a sudden, all that time is for naught. Kutztown down below 2 minutes here on this first point. Charlotte finding an early pick, a very valuable one onto Starlight. A proximity mine slam from Sponty is going to be a lot of damage onto Alleluia, who does use that supercharger, but nothing comes from it. Charlotte copying that Pharah. Gonna push up here pretty aggressively as he does have 2 lives, pretty much. Another DPS with 2 lives. I mean, Kutztown started out with Tracer and Echo. Basically 2 characters with 400 health. 300 for Tracer with that recall. Kutztown very close to the end here. Sponty with a blunder early is gonna pretty much mean that Kutztown's got to back up here. Good news for them though that we did see Lunamare use that Pharah ultimate. Kutztown will not see the Pharah ultimate for this next fight. Okay, Factor switching off of that D.Va onto the Sigma. It's gonna be hard, Sigma against this Pharah Mercy, but I guess he's trying to poke out the remaining 4 players of the Mooncakes while they're on the ground. Char will win the vertical 1v1, if you will, and they'll take out the Mercy. And now it's a 4v6. Kutztown should have an easy pick here, but look at this turret placement here from Veggies. Kutztown's got to find this really quick, and it looks like they will. Kutztown using a couple ultimates here just to guarantee they get this fight, but it's not going as quickly as I think they want it to. Big Rick, Char, Sponty finding some damage. Char finding 3, almost 4 with this focusing beam. I mean, this damage actually pretty even now with Big Rick. Big Rick's been doing so much tank damage nowadays. Less kills, but similar amount of damage for both the DPS of Kutztown. Something else I'd like to point out here is we have Sponty catching up in damage for Kutztown. He's just rolling through so many players and getting a lot of value off of these slams. I mean, the assists will show Sponty's getting a lot of players knocked up in the air, where Charlotte, PK Factor, who was on the D.Va, now on the Sigma, can get a lot of damage. And both teams setting up here. We'll have a Valkyrie on the side of the Mooncakes, and we'll have a Duplicate on the side of Kutztown. Charlotte looking to get a good, duplicate on a high damage character, something that's pretty scary. We'll see the Sigma. I do like this because if they can manage to get this ultimate, Kutztown will have maybe 2 Gravitic Fluxes this fight. It's a really slow ultimate, but there it is. We'll find 3 in the air. Kutztown's got to move in right now if they want to get value, but the Duplicate will end right at the wrong time. Charlotte will just kind of bring everyone up and let them float down very peacefully. Flank here from Lunamare and Starlight behind Kutztown. I don't know if it was intended because it looked like they wanted to come back, but there's that second Gravitic Flux from Kutztown. PK Factor finding 1 with it. We're losing players here, but there's no ultimates for them to save themselves with. But it looks like they may not need them. This turret's just getting so much damage. Kutztown did not deal with it early enough, and I mean, the scoreboard says it for itself. Veggies with 22, almost 23,000 damage now on this Torbjorn. Do not sleep on that Torbjorn turret. Those Cheetos coming out of that gun are not to be slept on. I mean, trifle with Torbjorn and you're going to find a Molten Core and a shotgun in your face that's overloaded. Torbjorn definitely gets slept on nowadays, and I feel like just looking at that stat on the top right of your screen should be enough for you to be scared of him. Couple ultimates getting used here. A Duplicate from Lunamare trying to find 1. Will not find any, unfortunately. Kutztown, a bad response there will mean a couple supports down. Now they have no healing and 14 seconds left. And they are not even through the second point. Sponty will be the sole person on Kutztown will be able to get to the point. Big Rick did not swap off the soldier, decided to keep it for this last second push. Sponty will not be able to touch the point. Unfortunately, just getting zoned out by that Torbjorn on the side of the Royal Mooncakes. Great job on defense from them. Kutztown not utilizing that Torbjorn, deciding to go with the Ashe Echo, which did work out for them pretty well, but I mean, we saw some great Torbjorn play from Veggies on the side of the Royal Mooncakes. So, I mean, PK Factor here, we do have a replay from this Gravitic Flux, finding, I think that's 4 players on the Mooncakes. I mean, it's a lot of damage, but you'll see Kutztown doesn't immediately win that fight. I mean, that may be something they need to talk about, is that follow-up damage. The Mooncakes able to bring it back. Char on Echo, I mean, again, highlight reel tonight is just filled with this Echo. Finding 1, 2, 3, and almost 4, I believe. Does not get this one, but his team will help. Their team will help clean up. And just going over that top there, that little side angle was so valuable for Charlotte. And great job. We've got a... Yeah, if we could look, we do have that sticky. Did stick the Torbjorn, but somehow did live there. I'm wondering if maybe we could get a slower or a second angle on this, because it looks like the Mooncakes don't have anything that could have prevented the Torbjorn from dying. They might have to do something with the timing of overload that Veggies used here. Wow, getting put down to maybe 10 health there. I don't know how that happened. I think Torbjorn is up to 400 health when that happens, so I suppose that would make sense. Maybe 350. Because Pulse Bomb does do 350 damage. If that overload puts him over that threshold, plus a tiny bit of healing, I think he lives, which is crazy. I never thought about how Torbjorn, almost on his own, can survive Pulse Bomb. A little bit of Overwatch trivia there for you guys. Got some technical difficulties from the Royal Mooncakes so far. Great showing from them. I loved their defense. I loved their map 1 and their map 3 on Lijiang despite losing. Looks like we will have a sub for Veggies. Unfortunately, Veggies does have to go. Shout out to Veggies. Not to get personal, but Veggies are pretty good. You know, I don't want to get political here on stream, but I hope you are veggie eaters at home. I am one myself for sure. Kutztown on defense here on Route 66. This is one of their bread and butter Torbjorn maps. We'll see Charlotte on this Torbjorn, and we'll see the defensive break here on this high ground cafe is going to be difficult to break. What we saw last week from Kutztown Scrim partners was a great adaptation. It was a little bit late, but they still did adapt their composition to do well. We're gonna have to see a Hanzo Pharah on offense here. It does force these characters, but we have seen Lunamare play Hanzo and Pharah. So hopefully if they can have their new DPS player, who maybe Fargon at this point, as they're having their support player sub in, we're gonna have to see Pharah Hanzo swap if they're gonna get through these double shields and the Torbjorn turret. Well, there's one half of those, and there's two halves of those. If they manage to keep this Pharah Hanzo, I will be very impressed. I am wondering if they're stream sniping right now and hearing my compositional advice. If they are, thanks for taking my advice, but also it's a little sus, man. I don't know if you should be listening to the stream and playing at the same time. But here's that composition. I would have expected them maybe to come out with a Sombra and see what Kutztown is playing and then make the appropriate swap right away. Here we go. Big Rick with a little bit of extra damage with that early dynamite. Royal Mooncakes pushing up here. Gonna have to deal a lot of damage to these shields. Kutztown, their tanks have a lot of work to do right now because there's so much damage that's going to be coming in right now. I also love this Orisa pick from Alleluia. Just means that this long range spam is going to do even better. Wow, a great combo there from Big Rick, Sponty, and PK Factor. All using their abilities in tandem and finding one. But, you know, there's that Mercy res. It's just, all your work is gone in one swoop. Litlow's got a lot of work to do here. Bonewheel falling early to a headshot Storm Arrow from Fargon, and now the point will slowly begin to tick in the Royal Mooncake's favor. Kutztown's got to put a player on this point in about 10 seconds or it's going to be bad news for them on this first point. Charlotte with a flank Torbjorn turret spot perhaps. Kutztown pushing out one of the point with both their shields and an amplification matrix. It's going to be a lot of damage. Char again with these headshots on Torbjorn. Has been practicing this character, I can tell. Ayamura looks like he began to think about a res there, but did did not do it, which was good, keeping that cooldown. Amaya Hymura on that Mercy trying to keep Lunamare damage boosted as much as possible. Lunamare trying to take as little damage as possible so they can stay damage boosted as much as possible and don't need to get healed. And a great boop combo. Wow, that would have been amazing there if Fargon had put that on the ground. That Dragon Strike just a little too high. The boop from Lunamare did take the tanks. Kutztown off of that high ground, forcing them into a different position. Charlotte falling very low with no heals in the back line, and a lot of damage from Lunamare will be met with Litlow. Some damage from Litlow, and Kutztown now almost even here. With this res, will be down one player. Lunamare back in the game after a great barrage. Will die early here. PK Factor finding one. Kutztown has now made this an even fight, and they're starting to take this back now. Sponty maybe looking for a Gravitic Flux here. Big Rick coming back with this Bob is going to mean even more time off this point. During this next fight for the Royal Mooncakes, they got very close. You see 95% at the top of your screen. They were very close to capturing that point, but Kutztown came out just at the right time and saved that tick. Charlotte switching off of that Torbjorn onto the Hanzo. I think that's a good pick against this double long-range projectile damage. I think it's just a smart pick. You're not going to get lots of value on Torbjorn. You're going to get more on the Hanzo, and I like it. There's that Bob on the point, trying to give his tanks a bit of a rest on this point here, forcing them to stay on that high ground and around the corner. A great dynamite there, and a good Dragon Strike to force Kutztown off the point. It's going to give them a little bit of room, and you'll see Alleluia take advantage of that, but back off pretty soon after this side angle from Charlotte's going to do a lot of damage. Big Gravitic Flux will find nothing but the Immortality Field of Starlight, and Kutztown in an interesting position. Lunamare went a little bit too hard, went a little bit too far in there, and will find Big Rick protecting his team. Charlotte keeping this off angle. I absolutely love just the thorn in the side of the Royal Mooncakes right now. They're unable to push in with that Hanzo just picking damage at them. And Charlotte playing very safe, finding a lot of damage on their tanks, putting too much pressure on the supports of the Royal Mooncakes. A last chance here for the Royal Mooncakes. Kutztown getting forced backwards a little bit there. Charlotte finding an early pick is pretty big for Kutztown, but the respawn will probably be in time. Kutztown wants to win this fight pretty quick, so they're going to try to use these ultimates before Lunamare comes back. Wow, a double accretion from Sponty there. Will find both the supports. That's the most value you can get out of that ability in the whole game. Killing two supports with one shot. Kutztown, great cleanup. Great job holding that corner. And despite the hard counter pick from the Royal Mooncakes, Kutztown's able to hold on to it. I think they rotated very well. I liked that they put some of their tanks up on that middle high ground on that second fight early. Despite getting booped off, I think it was a good idea because spread them out a little bit, right? The damage then from the Mooncakes is harder to focus because Kutztown is spread into two groups. So we might see a similar defense here, but we've got a Gravitic Flux here, looks like, from Sponty. Oh, excuse me, a double accretion there from Sponty onto both supports on the Royal Mooncakes. Just unlucky. I mean, they just want to get the point, man. Sponty, you gotta let them play the game. So a Pharah defense on Hollywood. I mean, I'm a big fan of Pharah. I enjoy seeing the Pharah gameplay because of that, you know, high backline damage potential from a distance. You know, something that is very unique to Pharah, and the team is going to have to play around that. Fargon looks like they're planning on just being a cafe holding biotic fielder here. And a switch off to Ashe will actually change that game plan. So this is kind of the defense that we saw Kutztown play on Rialto. It went okay for them, but you know, they were unable to stop the Royal Mooncakes from taking that third point. Actually, the Royal Mooncakes did not get that third point, but Kutztown didn't get very far on their offense, which is why I'm thinking that. Let's take a look at some damage stats here. We'll see highest damage dealer right now is Fargon. I mean, we saw, I believe Fargon was on the Hanzo last round. Lunamare on that Pharah. Hanzo spamming up on that cafe is just gonna find bodies basically every time they shoot and there isn't a shield. Just the size of Sigma, the size of Orisa, and how close together they're playing. Is just gonna mean damage. So that's why we saw so many dragon strikes, especially because it's a very quick and easy ultimate to accrue.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Kutztown with a near mirror comp here, swapping out the Hanzo for an Ashe is on the defense of the Royal Mooncakes. Wow, these halt rock combos from Kutztown are on point tonight. We'll give them credit for that, but that's a lot of damage from Lunamare early on the Sponty. Kutztown's gonna have to regroup for a second here. PK Factor taking this high ground pretty early here, but such a big hitbox is gonna have to back up here if he wants to survive. Kutztown taking the inner halls. I like this idea here. They're just trying to poke out, get a couple angles here. Trello will find one, Sponty will find the other support. Now it's only a Mercy for the defensive support here on the side of the Mooncakes. It's gonna be a lot of work for her. Kutztown, if they want to win this fight, they're gonna do it nice and slow because they have an advantage. And Charlotte from the back line, I mean, finding 3 this fight alone. Looks like the Mooncakes are struggling to adapt to this Echo play. We don't see a lot of Echo from teams, but honestly, Echo's a pretty busted character alone. But Charlotte taking out Bone Wheels, the backup DPS player here, melee killing Lunamare to be able to res Charlotte there. That was a great little mama bear moment there from Bone Wheel. Three players in Kutztown pushing up a little bit far here. They may bite off a little bit more than they can chew for this position. In fact, they're going to try to take this high ground at the same time. PK Factor going up alone with a bit of a shield on the elevator. Interesting move there. Charlotte taking a backwards position. She's going to try to disrupt the team with this Diva ultimate. Here it comes. Looks like it will just clear off that high ground for Kutztown to get up there. Big Rick, the sole person on the cart. Lunamare trying to flank Kutztown here. We'll find a low Charlotte in the back line of the Mooncakes. Mooncakes up 2 now, up 3. Kutztown slowly falling here on the second point. With only 2 ultimates there. That's a good team fight win there for the Mooncakes. Kutztown committing 2, maybe 3 of their own there and not finding a team fight win. You've got to be happy with that team fight. It was a bit scrappy, but I think with some mistakes from Kutztown, like Charlotte going a little bit too far in, Big Rick being alone on the point there for a little bit too long, they'll find a good win. Good team fight win. Now pushing up here, trying to find a position below this high ground where they can ignore this supercharger that Alleluia just put down, and Litlo getting put extremely low very early, forced to use that immortality field, and now is in an even worse position with this Bob on the ground here. Sponty finding nobody with that gravitic flux. Maybe just the Orisa with that upper that damage that brings the players up, that 75 damage. Kutztown down 1 player. It's not necessarily lost now that Starlight is on the ground. Pushed off by a rock from Sponty. Lunamare is going to clean up the back. Big Rick finding Starlight. Almost anybody's fight. Kutztown has some respawns coming in here. It's a 4v4. 4v3 in Kutztown's favor now without the mech or the Diva. That res coming back online for Amaya Hamura. Glad I'm checking that now. Kutztown pushing this car a little bit further than the Mooncakes probably think it is right now. They've been staying on this cart. Winning this fight super slowly and just staying on the cart's going to yield them almost like 1 team fight, 2 team fights worth of space in 1 team fight. It was a long one, but that's what you need. I mean, this car can only go a certain speed. ETC Eternal subbing in on this tank here is going to be playing Diva with this Orisa. I'm not sure how well this is going to synergize, but we've got Fargan on this defensive Widowmaker. I like it, but there's going to be so much pressure so quickly from Char. Yeah, nodding away there. Finding a quick early kill. Can't Mercy res that. It's a little too far forward. Kutztown using a couple of their abilities to push them around the corner here. Swanty finding some players around a wall there with that gravitic flex. Nothing will come of it. Hallelujah asleep. We've got the Valkyrie here from Amaya Himura. Charlotte throwing that Diva Bomb. Will find only a couple of broken fences from it. And it's got to get out. Kutztown with a great slow push, just slowly picking off these players. I think they're just out of position a tiny bit, and Kutztown's taking advantage of it. That was a great third point for them. Cart really did not stop moving. I mean, Kutztown takes Hollywood pretty resoundingly. We saw a great defense from them on that first point, just stonewalling the Royal Mooncakes, but pushing all the way to third on offense. I think I'm starting to see a bit of a struggle from the tank line of the Royal Mooncakes. We saw a very aggressive tank line, but now with Veggie's gone and Starlight subbing in on support, you know, we're having players switch roles a little bit, which can be really good for your team, you know. Coming from someone who played collegiate Overwatch for 3 years and some semi-pro Overwatch too, have your players switch roles, completely switch roles. You know, do a bit of a rotation, and what it will do is it'll help them understand what you know, their impact is, what their teammates' impact on the game is, and it helps your perspective, right? It helps you understand like the limits of Reinhardt if you're not a tank player, or the limits of what a BAP can do healing wise if you're not a support. So I recommend it. I think this will be good for their team. They're going to learn a lot about their picks, and at the end of the day, that's what Scrim's about, you know? Learning. Not about winning, just about learning. Litlow looks like he's getting ready to give something to them on the defense through this little gap in the wall. Here comes a nade. All the way up, and it looks like he's going to try to land it in the spawn. Nothing. He may have miscalculated a little bit. Dorado, one of those maps with weird quirks, and there it goes, it landed in the spawn. Litlow able to throw that grenade all the way in. We're going to see some sonar arrow shenanigans here as well. I mean, it's a great move because you get a lot of information from it. Dorado's just one of those maps. We're actually going to see there that Kutztown is running the Echo. So they may get something out of that. They may switch to McCree, and Cassidy, excuse me, they will. Fargon's sole job is to annoy Charlotte this game. PK Factor finding an early pick on Fargon, right? One of those less mobile characters is a great dive target, and I mean, Kutztown just moving as one unit right now. I'm very impressed with their shot calling and their target follow-up there. From this high ground, PK Factor finding Fargon. I mean, he's only got the combat role on McCree, and when that combat role is gone, so is the character. I mean, sent back to the respawn room, that Cassidy. Another attempt here. Looks like they're going to try to teleport onto the high ground and catch Litlow out here, but he's going to find two with an anti-healing biotic grenade there. Litlow forced to back up and off the high ground, stay by his tanks. He's in a really interesting position now for an Ana on defense, just because of the circumstances that have led to where we are right now. Kutztown finding one of their damage dealers means that they're not going to be as afraid to go in here, and it looks like they're executing another great dive onto the other DPS, another great stall. Kutztown holding this high ground very well. Defensive dive is something that's very, very difficult to pull off. PK Factor getting nano boosted from Litlow there. Gonna try to push in and get some kills, but getting about half health. I think it's about time for him to get out, and he will. Got a couple ultimates here. We've got this duplicate from Charlotte coming up here. I'm curious to see maybe a Reinhardt pick, maybe a Diva pick for this bomb. Hallelujah! Calling PK Factor's bluff of standing in that hallway Bone Wheel getting caught out here by the whole team, but the Diva Bomb from Sponty will distract them from long enough, and a 2-man, 3-man Echo Pick, 4-man Echo Pick from Charlotte. Just ripping through the Mooncakes tonight. Just incredible performance so far on Dorado from Kutztown. Defensive dive is one of the hardest compositions to play, but if you can play well, it's so hard to break. Kutztown has clearly practiced this map on defensive dive in their other scrims they do weekly. Wow, Amaya Himura using that sound barrier just to try to keep his team alive long enough, and Fargon will use that to find Litlow on the end of that Deadeye. PK Factor trying to boot players into Big Rick's tactical visor that he just won't be able to do it, and now we'll see a slow team fight win here. This is exactly what you want with this Symmetra. You want a slower team fight win, you want Symmetra to have a super high energy beam to get that ult charge. Sponty will maybe actually... Oh, we'll get D-Mech. Great play there. Looks like he's going to have to go to the cart. Looks like they will kill him earlier than maybe they needed to, but that's alright. Kutztown may have one contest here on this point. Charlotte coming from up top. The top rope will not find anything. Charlotte's going to be caught in the air against this. Will just barely get over that wall. And Alleluia just shoving it in Big Rick's face. That Earth Shatter. A text chat response from him as he was very surprised. Wow, Alleluia just really coming alive here on this Reinhardt, especially against the dive composition. Sometimes you feel like you really can't do much. And Alleluia proving that you can. Kutztown's gonna need this high ground. They're gonna need this high ground. And if you're the Royal Mooncakes, you know that they need this high ground. You're gonna put some players up here. And that's more than a couple players, right? You get the McCree, the Sim up there. Normally players that can't get up there gonna be able to defend. But Big Rick on this opposite low ground here is gonna find one. Lunamare, a bit of an interesting pick there from him. You'd not expect to get a kill from that angle, but he does. PK Factor going in. Fargon just doing his best, as much damage as he can, but it's not enough against this Primal Rage Monkey. PK Factor's in too deep right now. Must have just misused that last jump of his Primal Rage. I suppose maybe he could have had one to get out there and Litlow would have healed him up, but I'm expecting we're going to see, after this respawn here from etc. Eternal, we're going to see a teleport Deadeye maneuver here. I'd love to see some kind of crazy Deadeye flank on the right side with a teleporter, but it's a crazy risky play. I'm not expecting to see it.
We must see the payload to its destination.
Moving up, looks like they might be wanting to take a high ground here, and they will. Kutztown will find so much cleave damage. PK Factor, the only person on the back side of Alleluia. Alleluia bit off a little bit more than he could chew. I think the rest of the team tried to get up, but that teleporter got broken very quickly. Duplicate from Charlotte here. Has that Diva Bomb, will use it just to get rid of it there. Starlight and ATC Eternal. Looks like Kutztown may be trying to stall this character out, and they decide just not to. Again, you know, week 3 of is it okay to stall on scrims? Changed my mind. I think it is. Something that I think you should practice as a team. I think it's a valuable skill that you need to learn. I don't think, personally, I don't take any offense to it when it happens to our team, but I know some teams do take offense to it. Great sticky bombs there onto ETC Eternal. Fargon still with this Deadeye. Let's keep an eye out for him on this high ground here. He's going to take the long way around behind his team. Be a little bit late to the party, but here comes up on this high ground. Big Rick may be called out here, and he will. Big Rick will find one with it. They're going to trade with their ultimates. Sound forced to back up. Bonewheel will get picked off there just barely by Fargon before getting sent to the respawn room. Kutztown with a bit of a weird defense here. No one on the cart right now. Looks like they're going to just put the Diva on the cart when they get back and hope that they can win this fight from the high ground. But Fargon getting pushed off is bad news for them because they lose this advantage, this positional advantage. Lunamare using that teleporter to get up there, but now alone against the monkey in the library is not a good place to be as a Symmetra. Kutztown will be up 1. They're going to want to really think about this fight before they go in here, and it looks like they did. Big Rick finding one, Charlotte finding another. And Kutztown will be slowly winning this fight on second point. Dorado, we saw a great first point defense and second point defense from them on a dive composition. You know, again, like I said, very difficult to pull off, but they did it very, very well. I'm very impressed with it. And we're going to move over to the defense now for the Royal Mooncakes. Charlotte here on this Echo. I mean, just so much damage. I think got 4 here. These sticky bombs finding 2 as they back up there. 1, 2, 3, and 4 for Kutztown. Falling under the Mega, ending that highlight at full health with his name in the kill feed 4 times. And Charlotte ain't dying. They ain't dying. Kutztown looking to bust through this defense that's getting set up right now by the Royal Mooncakes. They've got to make a statement here. I mean, it's scrims, but they got held against, you know, a dive composition on first point. That high ground right outside the spawn just getting utilized very well by the tanks of Kutztown. We've got Sponty and PK using it really, really well. And looks like we're not going to see that same composition on defense from the Mooncakes. I think if you're in a scrim and you kind of get you get whopped on one of the points, it's like you feel a little bit pressure to like show them that you can do it better. And I'm really happy that the Mooncakes don't have that kind of mindset, because I think that that's very toxic. I think it's good that they, you know, practice what they want to practice and not what they think will impress the enemy team. So shout out to them. Kutztown throwing a little bit of damage out of the spawn room with those Zarya right clicks and with those Baptiste right clicks. Bit of a show for both teams here. Dorado was one of those 2 maps, I believe. King's Row was the other map that had that cursed top exit door for the offense, where you could shoot through the door. There was a small gap that Widowmaker and other hit scans could shoot through. Oh, wow! Bonewheel finding 3 with that humongous biotic grenade before the game even started. This guy's playing the game before it even started. Alright, a defense here for the Mooncakes. I hope they can hold on. I'd love to see this Echo do well on defense here. Litlow on the high ground start. I like that from the Ana. Makes him a harder diveable target. PK Factor pushing up here, trying to take this space. A bit of a soft dive, but ECTS Eternal maybe staying a little bit longer than he will. Charlotte pushing up the right side here. We've seen amazing side flanks from them this evening. Very impressed with it, and taking care of those off angles. Kutztown just giving a lot of care to those, showing why they're very valuable, especially on a character like Echo. And Bonewheel just a blunder on positioning there. You can see how easy it is on Mercy to start sliding the wrong way. And now Kutztown's forced to move back. Big Rick will find Mooncake's Mercy Amaya Himura, which is really bad news because that's an incredibly long walk back without a fly target. Kutztown executing a dive call onto this high ground here. It wasn't very, there wasn't a lot of follow-up from Kutztown's DPS, but if they can get a kill before this Mercy gets back, and they will, that will be great news for them on this first point. Big Rick doing a ton of ground damage. You can see keeping up with Charlotte. 10,000 damage on the Soldier 76. We saw the Hanzo on defense. It was a great pick. Was it the Ash? I can't quite remember, but Charlotte with the most damage in this lobby right now on that Echo, non-stop Echo all the time here. And I'm sure Bonewheel getting a nice break from having to play that Brigitte with the Mercy pick here. I mean, I saw some good ideas from the defense of the Royal Mooncakes, but it seems just like they're not playing on the same like mindset here. We have some different ideas from different players that all could work if the rest of the team went with it, right? There's a saying that goes something like, you know, if you do something crazy, you're wrong, but if your team all does something crazy, it's a strategy, right? So, I think it was maybe if you do something stupid, uh, and you're alone, then it's a mistake. But keeping locked this high ground, Royal Mooncakes are keeping this for themselves, which is great. Kutztown will need that high ground if they want to get anything done. Bonewheel rezzing Char, who will fall the 1v1 to Lunamare. Lunamare getting slept by Litlo while duplicated here. Big Rick finding a support on the side of the Mooncakes is big because now they only have this BAP healing. It's going to be difficult for Echo to do anything right now in the air. Probably going to play a ground Echo, a bit of a Junkrat-like gameplay style. Fargon with the high ground amplification matrix. Tactical Visor is going to delete Bonewheel. Bonewheel had almost no time to react to that. Kutztown, however, is not giving up with a great anti-nade. How did that land? Litlo with a crazy flank from inside the top of the library will find 2 with that biotic grenade, and off of that, they're unable to heal it. Kutztown maybe slowly taking this team fight. Keep in mind, stream viewers, this map will not end when that payload reaches that glowing box. We're on a scrim code, it will continue. Sometimes teams like to play as though it is that way. Charlotte taking a Mercy duplicate here. I'm not sure that's what they wanted to do, but it will keep them alive for the moment. Essentially just like a Tracer recall. Comes a middle of the road tactical visor here for Big Rick, just trying to keep people off of this cart, and it seems like it's working so far. Kutztown will get to the second point. Kutztown pushing their advantage even further than they just did. Taking a lot of ground here. Litlo, the lone person on the cart with an anti-nade, a biotic grenade thrown pretty far. As that animation for the gate opening will end. This cart is already halfway through third point, and we haven't seen any resistance from the Mooncakes because they've been getting picked off before they can regroup. We've got a break swap here for Maya Himura. I like that pick. Lunamare with this duplicate's gonna have to do a lot of work here. Diva Bomb can do a lot on this last point, but there's just 2 fights happening here, and Kutztown's winning one of them and not losing the other, which is good news for them because their one team fight players can come over and help with the other fight. Kick back there, just deciding to tank that Diva Bomb, and Kutztown will throw a great Dorado time on the board. A minute left for that last point, but little shaky here on the second point, but we'll see a nudged Diva Bomb here from Sponty will surprise the Echo on the Royal Mooncakes. I mean, great little creative play. We saw that tech get discovered sometime in, I believe, 2017, about a year after the character had been out, and Sponty making use of it pretty well there, surprising that you know, Lunamare on Echo. So coming up after our games are over here in about 45 minutes, we're gonna have an interview with Charlotte from Kutztown. Love to get someone from the Mooncakes on as well. I think we had a great dual interview last week. So I'm gonna get on that right now, and I'm gonna give my voice a break for about 30 seconds. So we've got a pause here. Fargon may have disconnected or maybe getting subbed out here. I think we're just waiting on a restart now from them. Got a bit of an update for our little dual interview at the end of the scrim. We've got Alleluia, the main tank for the side of the Royal Mooncakes, will be joining us on stream, live on stream. For talking some shop about this scrim. So far has been pretty good. Kutztown has maybe taken a little bit of an advantage on most of these maps, but we saw pretty like a pretty strong start from them, and now just we're starting to see them struggle against this echo. Any echo related comps. I mean, I will give a lot of credit as well to the tanks of Kutztown. They're tonight have been locked in with each other. We've seen a lot of great pull combos with that Orisa halt from PK Factor. And we've also seen a lot of well-coordinated dives from both tanks. And sometimes the Mooncakes are just kind of caught out and they don't know what to do, and that's where Kutztown will get their value out of it. So we see them doing, again, this dive defense. I love this dive defense from Kutztown. I mean, they played an incredible version of it on Dorado. Looking to see again on this map. Excited, very excited. Give me 1 second, I will be back. I just need to do some prepping here for our interview later, and I'm gonna also give my voice a little bit of a break while we have a second. All right, we've got the players getting ready here. Kutztown with this dive defense and a brig. I love the brig with the dive defense, right? You get to protect the Ana a little bit. And also you'll notice Big Rick on less of a dive character, right? We've got the Soldier 76. Kutztown is obsessed with the Soldier 76 on first point defense Nambani. I am in love with it too. It's a great character for this high ground here. As you can see, this high ground that Kutztown is set up on is pretty huge, right? It's this big Z. It covers a lot of ground here, and Royal Mooncakes are gonna have to break through all of that high ground. And it looks like they're planning on doing it with a little bit of teleport shenanigans here from Lunamare. They're gonna be going underneath. I like this play. Fargon almost getting caught out here by PK Factor. Good game sense from him, trying to take advantage of that. But here comes the teleport. Looks like they might be looking for it. A lot of damage from Charlotte down this hallway already. Over almost 2,000 damage. And that does not count shield damage, so probably even more if you count shields. Kutztown forced to an interesting position on this high ground. And Litlow is like, you know, had to move off pretty early there. He's now on the ground. Alleluia and Fargon finding 2 kills there. Charlotte on the Lucio duplicate will find 2 as well. This is now an even fight with a big biotic grenade from Litlow. This may mean something. Looks like they are unable to follow up on it, but Charlotte taking an aggressive position there. PK Factor there to try to clean it up, but Fargon just hitting Charlotte with that single shot headshot. 1 shot, 1 kill from that Hanzo. Already has that Dragon Strike online, and we'll try to split Kutztown up as they take this first point. A great rotation so far from the Mooncakes against Kutztown, but now Kutztown's starting to find some footing here. If they can stay alive for just a little bit longer, they're going to have a hold on this first point. Lunamare, the only person remaining. I think what had happened, there's a bit of mid-fight madness, what I like to call. You know, teams will tend to go a little bit crazy between the beginning and end of the fight, where they're all kind of have their own fight going on. Kutztown stayed pretty focused on their fight that they wanted, but the target calling for the Mooncakes you know, has to improve there in the middle of the fight if they want to see mid-fight results, because that was a one fight for them. They should be already on their way to second point with this cart moving, but unlucky. And we go again. We got Alleluia with this shatter, which isn't really gonna have a good opportunity, except maybe against Kutztown's tanks when they push up. Comes maybe a surprise shatter, would have maybe been crazy there, but Alleluia with a shot, and we'll get taken out by 3 players at Kutztown on this high ground, the Z high ground that they're gonna hold. Really deciding not to leave the high ground until the fight was pretty much won. And we're gonna see a reset here from the remaining players. Good call on the reset there, I do like it. Utilizing the side of the map to try to respawn together, giving Kutztown less percent in their ult economy. Although the ult economy looks slightly in the favor of Kutztown here. They're gonna have 3 ultimates here, as opposed to the 2 on the side of the Mooncakes. Paragon's gonna have to push some players off a high ground with this Dragon Strike. Gonna have to probably use it from the ground here, but a humongous biotic grenade is gonna mean at least 1 for Kutztown on this high ground. Tin Spires just gotta get, you know, used to Litlow's use of this biotic grenade. It's just very aggressive from Kutztown. One simple eat of that will mean a great damage potential for their team if they can push up without Litlow having that biotic grenade. Charlotte copying this D.Va to duplicate, trying to find a little bit more disruption. Kutztown getting forced off this high ground. Litlow's alone here versus 2 players. Will sleep one of them and drop off a high ground. He's still alive. He's backing up. Charlotte will find 2 with that D.Va bomb as they have to get the point because they have to touch. It's overtime scenario already, and Kutztown showing another great first point defense here with this dive. I mean, Kutztown seems like the defense school. We saw, you know, a pretty good Lijiang tower from them. We saw an amazing defense on Hollywood, an amazing defense on Nobani, and now here we are. The tables have turned, and we'll see if the Mooncakes can come up with something. I mean, Char again just showing why the adaptation is so important. Mooncakes just unable to adapt to this kind of playstyle from the side flanker. We'll see a 2K here from this D.Va bomb, just placed very nicely on the corner of the point, finding that Cassidy, excuse me, that Hanzo and that Lucio from the Mooncakes.
Patched up.
Mooncakes having their own version of this composition, right? We're seeing both dive tanks here. Again, we've got the D.Va, we've got the Winston, we've got that soldier that so many teams love on this high ground. You know, AKM, Seagull, those people really showing how powerful this character can be on this high ground early in Overwatch's you know, days, and how it can still be used nowadays. You know, Goats is gone. Echo Mercy as well, so they're deciding to forego the Brig. They think that the soldier with the Ana will be enough, and usually it is. I like the Mercy pick, right? The Mercy can fly around to the tanks if they need it, but will be likely staying with the Mercy. Excuse me, will likely staying with the Echo for most of these team fights. Here we go. Big Rick on this Tracer. It's going to be hard for him to get up on the high ground, so he might be looking for a bit of a longer flank, which he will be finding underneath here. Kutztown running up the highway, trying to take this part of the high ground, right? This high ground is so big, you can't take it all at once. You have to take it piece by piece. Kutztown trying to get that first piece. That vertical damage from Lunamare is great. Almost 5k damage on this Echo. Charlotte finding 1. Big Rick losing the flank there, and the resurrect from Starlight is going to mean that the Mooncakes are up 1 and now 2 players. Kutztown's got to back up here. This is a lost fight for them. Big Rick switching to the Pharah. We now have a vertical DPS team for Kutztown. aerial supremacy they are looking for right now. Now their support here. Litlow's gonna be left pretty much alone. Big Rick switching off of that Pharah. Back to the Tracer. I'm not sure that's valuable, as he probably did lose a little bit of percentage on that Pulse Bomb ultimate. Here comes a dive. Looking for the backline. Kutztown overshoots a little bit. Charlotte getting pushed out. Bone Wheel will fall to Fargon. Great damage in for him, but Kutztown's tanks are just slowly rolling through the backline of the Mooncakes, just eating away at their life support system. Their Ana just and their Mercy just getting taken out very early there in that team fight. And Alleluia, the lone member, just going monkey mode here on Litlow. We'll find Litlow, but he will probably have a forward spawn. Litlow not very happy with that one. Kutztown, although they're down their Ana, I guess what they're doing right here is they're giving their Ana a longer time to walk back. They're forcing Kutztown's Ana Litlow to walk even further, and you'll see Kutztown's leaving a couple players up here forward to make sure there's no flankers, no funny business happening all the way back there, while Litlow is alone. Sponty deciding to reset here. We're gonna want to keep an eye on Lunamare here. This duplicate's gonna be very important. Tinspire is probably gonna be throwing this Diva Bomb mid-fight for some, you know, absolute chaos on the point. Gonna try to probably find this Ana out, catch this Ana out alone. Litlow with a bit of a flank on the top here. Might be looking for an aggressive biotic grenade. I like these. Here it comes. Won't find anything, but Kutztown's tanks are already far, far in. Big Rick losing his ultimate to a great defense matrix from Tinspire. That Tracer, a duplicate from Lunamare, will find one Pulse Bomb and will get taken out by Kutztown. Lunamare will lose the aerial battle, but Tinspire finds two on the back of the backline fight. This is really anybody's fight here. It's really up to the tanks here deciding where they want to go. Kutztown deciding to back up a little bit, but they will have respawns coming in very quickly. Alleluia taking so much damage early there, but we'll be giving a lot of ultimate charge to supports early there. Charlotte will find a great remech cancel kill on the Tinspire, but we'll trade. Fargon finding that, Alleluia finding Bone Wheel. A little bit out of position there. Sponte, I mean, this is anybody's match so far. This is just going so back and forth right now. Kutztown's only up one player right now on the point. It's a 3v2. Litlow forced to back up, but at least they do have healing. Kutztown will have healing on the point, and looks like they will get this second point. I mean, that was an absolute crazy second point for both teams. Just scrappy fights everywhere. Very VoDable material, but this is an awkward place for dive compositions, right? You've got them all just kind of walking on the ground, playing like a Reinhardt Zarya composition. I'm sure if they could switch really quickly and come back to it, they would, but off of that kill, a dive a dive decision here is a great idea from them. Kutztown slowly falling, but PK Factor finding one on a very aggressive play with his Primal Rage. Charlotte looking for that Diva Bomb, looking for a good place to put it down when these boosters come back. Deciding to use it without the boosters, with the duplicate still up. Better to self-destruct and kill no one than never to self-destruct at all, I suppose. Starlight resing the other healer for the side of Mooncakes is going to be in trouble for Kutztown because they're down one player here. Positionally, Kutztown has to reset here, and that's a lot of damage in a high chaotic area there. We'll find Big Rick. Bone Wheel able to res it. Big Rick just unable to crouch behind that little bush back there, and Kutztown's backline. Litlow getting a lot of pressure on him, but Sponty is like trying to help him out as much as he can. A great dive execution there from the Mooncake. Finding like a ton of value out of that position that we saw in Litlow there, just a little bit out in the open. A saw opportunity and a taken opportunity, and that was a good use of their movement abilities. Fargon probably wanting to get a flank visor here. He's in an interesting position here on the right when Kutztown pushes in this high ground. Charlotte pushing Fargon really quickly out, and PK Factor trying to follow up if Charlotte was unable to get the kill on the ground. Great use of their communications there. Wow, that nano boost on Alleluia may have been all for naught, as Kutztown just simply walks away from it. May have been a little bit preemptive, but Charlotte finding a duplicate kill from Lunamir's duplicate there. Lunamir getting a remake kill on a Bone Wheel is actually very big, and now with these respawn advantages, even if they slowly are losing this fight, they'll have players back in time. Kutztown's got to win the fight quickly or it's going to be over for them. And this is a super long fight for them. They do not want this. They want to get out, and they will. We've seen Fargon hold on to this ultimate for a while now. I mean, he did die early to Charlotte with a good counter flank. And probably hoping to jump down and use it from this high ground position above the choke. Maybe find Litlow or Big Rick out of position. Bone Wheel now over to this Brigitte. This Brigitte trying to get just some close range value, some extra healing, maybe protection for that Ana. And a bit of a disadvantageous position there to use Tactical Advisor, but Big Rick just deciding to go for it anyway, finding two. One with a Helix Rocket. And Kutztown's got a pretty open car here, all the way to the end. Gonna have an opportunity to contest, excuse me, and they will. Bone Wheel, the engine for the cart right now, trying to keep it alive. A lot of damage on him though. The tank's just kind of focusing him down as he was a little bit alone. Litlow just extending his life here with this biotic rate. I'm not sure that's what they want. They want a fast fight here, and now with only 23 seconds left on the clock here, Sponty has to make a hard decision and decide to just throw himself off the map so he can be back with his team for one last fight.
10 seconds.
We're doing great, team.
Kutztown rearing for this last fight. PK Factor, maybe the only one who's able to get there in time, will get that contest ready. Sponty back and on the Wrecking Ball. It's a bit of a big slam there, and an early pick on the ETC Eternal is big for Kutztown. If they can regroup here and re-dive on someone else, this can be a one map for them. Starlight will get the res, and Fargon will find PK Factor was a little overzealous with that push there. Hallelujah with that saving health ultimate with that Primal Rage, is keeping him alive for a little bit longer, and now Kutztown with 3 men on the cart, 2 in the back here. A little bit of a split up fight. Big Rick and Lunamir, who can win this 1v1? Lunamir will take it. Bone Wheel and Sponty, the last 2 on the point for Kutztown, and it looks like they're able to clean up here, holding them on this 3rd point. I mean, great job from the Mooncakes, putting their supports in a bit of a backward position. Turned out well for them. I think Kutztown just making maybe more use of a high ground. I mean, we saw like this aerial supremacy here for a little while on this Echo. We saw a remake here. We're going to see another bomb, and we'll see a quick remake while the bomb's going off onto Bone Wheel. Probably did not expect that. I mean, he got funnied. He got hit with the funny. And I probably didn't like it, honestly. As a Mercy, just getting remeked right in the face, especially with that new damage buff from D.Va, making that remake no joke.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
One second while these teams get ready, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a break here, as we're a little past the halfway point. Kutztown with their old bread and butter comp on King's Row here. Got the McCree May DPS composition. This is a very aggressive comp, right? We've got this Lucio here from Bone Wheel to speed players into a walled off tank from Charlotte. And we've got that close range stun with the flashbang from Big Rick. Royal Mooncakes hovering a couple of interesting characters right now. I suppose we'll see what they're gonna do in a second when they walk out, but they're gonna want some range, right? They're gonna want something that can deal with this Mei, something that can deal with this aggressive Lucio from a distance. And they're gonna have to force Kutztown into some long sightlines, kind of like they did on Hollywood first point. We're going to want to see them take high grounds. We're going to want to see them try to rotate Kutztown into awkward positions and then force them onto the point. That is the way that you beat a composition like this, unless you're mirroring it, right? You can mirror it. We've seen a couple teams play very well against this composition from Kutztown, but I think they're thinking of walking out with this. I'd love to see what Lunamare is going to switch to after this teleport gets used. Getting Starlight on this high ground. I do like this early. Alright, got the Pharah Hanzo composition that we saw on Hollywood first point attack for them. Big Rick will get hit by that anti-grenade, but Kutztown sees that they need to just press W here. Big Rick will get caught out eventually. Kutztown's going to slowly begin to crumble here. As they just got outflanked there. I mean, that biotic grenade was the beginning for them, and then Alleluia with that great flank onto Big Rick is the second half. Sponty finding one here probably won't mean much for Kutztown. Is actually able to get out in time. They may have a recontest here with Sponty getting back, but it looks like they're just deciding to give it up.
See through the dragon's eyes.
Objective A captured. Escort the payload.
Bone Wheel taking a rocket to the face from Lunamare, but PK Factor, the unlikely killer of the Pharah, the Hammond, that wrecking ball swinging through and taking him out. Choke point is very important for Kutztown, right? They've got this McCree and this Brig. They're going to want to hold, you know, a longer sightline in this choke point and try to spam them out, but we've got a player left. Fargon probably disconnected, may need to restart his computer. Couple of pauses tonight for the Mooncakes. That's all right. You know, you get these issues out while you're in scrims rather than in a tournament, or you know, against a team you really want to beat. You know, if there's money on the line, especially. So Kutztown got demolished on that first point. I mean, it was a great teleport with getting the Ana Starlight on an interesting high ground position for a big biotic grenade. I like the idea. I don't think I've really seen teams do that. So I do like the symmetric teleport onto the high ground a lot. Got Fargon back in the game. Gonna be starting back up here. Taking that Hanzo, going back to it, and you get to keep your ultimate charge and your position in the scrim code, which is nice. Do like that feature. A lot of work probably went into that. Not very easy. Kutztown with a bit of a scrappy fight. Sponty with a fadeaway bomb will find nothing but the respawn room from Lunamare, who's just been ripping through Kutztown on this offense so far. Taking a lot of space here. This is exactly what you want to do on King's Row. These very linear maps, you want to take as much space as you can because you know you got less to worry about, less high grounds you have to worry about. You just want to take all the space that you can and force a harder push from the enemy team. You know, instead of just giving them the space. BK Factor getting in position here for probably a flank slam on the cart, something similar. Kutztown regrouping now. PK Factor rolling through, getting a little bit more ultra, but 6 ultimates here. 1, 2, 3 ultimates used so far for the Mooncakes. Make it 4. Kutztown using a couple of their own. I hope that we don't see a barrage here or gravitic flux, which we won't. So good trigger finger on there, but it did cost them 4 ultimates. Kutztown only using 3, maybe 4 of their own actually, so maybe that was worth it. I would have to rewatch that again to get an exact answer for you, but we've got a Zenyatta swap here. from Bone Wheel. We've got Litlow on the Brig. It's a bit of a role swap from them. I think we usually see Litlow on the Zenyatta and Bone Wheel on the Brig, but practicing some new strategies. I do like it. Wow, a really early Gravitic Flux. We'll find 2 on the inside. Very surprising. And 1 kill will come from it. 2 kills will come from it. Lunamare somehow surviving all of that damage that Kutztown just put out. Kutztown just really fumbling everything here on this King's Row map. This interesting gadget pick, you know, projectile comp from the Royal Mooncakes, just kind of ripping through Kutztown. They don't really know what to do. They're not adapting. Quite personally, I'm not even sure what to do in this scenario. Maybe kill 2 players is something you do in this scenario. PK Factor catching too early. It's great news for Kutztown. They can push in here, free and clear without those 2 players in the way. Hydration check for all you watching at home. I certainly need it tonight while I'm casting alone. You'll game better if you're well hydrated. And that's a fact. PK Factor and Sponty finding a lot of damage early on a Fargon on this high ground, but his supports are there to help him out. Got a soft diving up there, trying to keep that high ground from him is very good. Well, Hanzo can get that back very quickly as wall jump is not on a cooldown. PK Factor with a Mind Slam onto pretty much the space between the tanks and the supports of the Royal Mooncakes, but I guess it's keeping them out for long enough to find 2 kills on both of their tanks that were separated. So you could look at those kill feed messages as both for PK Factor. I mean, this is the best resistance we've seen by Kutztown, getting them below 3 minutes here on this last point. This cart is moving back pretty far now. Two wrecking balls, 1 for each team. Hallelujah just getting stunned and absolutely melted. PK Factor with the same, minus the stun. Both teams losing their wrecking balls first, but Kutztown will have an advantage because he will be there sooner with that closer respawn. Big Rick trying to find something with this Deadeye, but again, it's just Deadeye. Like, there's not much you could do with this ultimate. Kutztown is slowly following. A lot of ultimates getting thrown onto cart here. It's a good idea, just trying to keep Kutztown off as they push up Litlow with a last second rallying spam bash there will get booped into the mine by Lunamare. Hallelujah's mine finding Litlow there while in that rally. Pretty important for them. But now Kutztown's just not dying fast enough. I think they're going to have to get more kills quicker. Kutztown just starting to eat time off of this clock. And now that they have the opportunity with some players out on the field, they may be getting a kill here onto the Sigma. Tinspire falling early here. Kutztown with the respawns. They're going to have to clean up very quick if they want this to work. And here comes this gadget pick again. Big Rick, instead of Charlotte being the Bastion on the defense on King's Row, fighting 2 players early is going to be great for them. And now looks like he's going to probably walk back into spawn and switch off. I mean, again, Kutztown with this surprise Bastion pick, just saying, we're going to clean this fight up right now.
60 seconds remaining.
1 minute left on the clock here. Around the same time, Kutztown captured 3rd point despite a great couple of pushes. Oh, Hallelujah staying afloat in the air for quite a while there. Lunamare trying to get PK Factor off the high ground. Litlow in an interesting position, very low on health. Gonna have to keep his team up, but he will get caught out by some spam projectiles from Lunamare. Great eye on that player. There's a proximity mine on a point. It's going to be very hard to touch the point now. And Hallelujah will secure that for their team with those proximity mines, making it very, very difficult to get to point. Sponty may have been the only one there, but just unlucky timing with that remake there.
Ready for battle.
I mean, we've got, I believe it's Lunamare here on this Pharah. Just an absolute menace on these first 2 points against Kutztown. Just finding so many. Look at those air shots. I mean, just great mechanical skill. And the cleanup while they were pushing up here was great. I mean, just finding these Kutztown players out of position while they're pushing up there. Good for Lunamare. We'll see some more play here from Lunamare. It's nanoed on the 3rd point here. Just cleaning out Kutztown. Just so much splash damage with this nano, right? You get that 50% damage bonus, and you can play more aggressive because you take half damage, which can be very scary, especially when you have that barrage online. Just kind of teasing Kutztown with it by deciding not to use it there. Kutztown may be leaving spawn with a Pharah comp of their own.
5, 4, 3, 2.
This will be hard to defend with the characters that they do have. We have 2 defensive projectile DPS characters here on the side of the Mooncakes. So this will be difficult. Big Rick's got to be the one who gets value here. Pushing up super fast. I love this aggressive move on a Litlow who's going to get caught out early by Hallelujah. It's exactly what you have to do against this composition. You have to surprise the players, right? Pharah wants a slow game, and so you can't give it to her. Sponty finding one though, and almost actually getting a tick onto the point there with Charlotte. Gonna force them to back up. Great 3-man slam there. So much damage from Big Rick on this Pharah so far. Hallelujah pushed out super far by Rick. Will actually find respite for a second, but I mean, the damage follow-up from Kutztown is just too much for them right now. I love the ideas. I love the ideas from the Mooncakes. It's just not always panning out for them. We saw a great push onto Litlow early on with that speed boost, but you know, when you do that, you leave your backline pretty vulnerable to Pharah damage, and that's what's going to happen. So if you're going to do it, maybe you just push up without the backline, try to stay in for as long as you can safely, and then get out if you get a kill or not. Kutztown super spread out, probably the most spread out we've seen them all tonight. Got a player on the cart. We've got Litlow on a high ground here, I guess trying to avoid getting seen early, but already with a Transcendence online very quickly. I'm surprised. I mean, it's a lot of damage then from Litlow coming in to get that ultimate so quickly. Litlow falling, almost very low on health there from the spam from Lunamare. Sponty has a mines of his own now, and Big Rick finding an aerial shotgun of a barrage on Lunamare. That's an unresable kill. Too far in Kutztown's front line. Hallelujah kind of trapped between a rock and a mine place. Sponty's mines preventing him from getting back to his team in time, and just kind of forced to stand there and just die. Kutztown's got them all in this little hallway. If Big Rick can get some damage in here before they get out, that would be great for them. It looks like he won't be able to. Fargon finding one on the back of that Deadeye from the side. Kutztown responding with the trade. Factor with a very interesting placement for that bomb. We'll find Lunamare. Kutztown's just really not winning this fight very quickly. They are winning this fight, but maybe too late. Bone Wheel getting killed by that is bad news for Kutztown too. Sponty's going to swing in here and try to push these players out of position. A great swing slam there. There's a lot of damage. Starlight just barely staying alive using this immortality field. They're alive! Kutztown just putting so many resources on the line, and it's just not happening for them yet. This proximity mines are definitely going to make it a lot harder, but I guess they can stand behind this bollard here, and they will get to be able to contest the cart. Bondi trying to find just some value here. Kutztown just clawing at a brick wall. They're unable to capture this point, and we may see a second Diva Bomb here for PK Factor. Kutztown losing one early, using that defensive ultimate. Lunamare just trying to take Rick out the sky, will successfully do so, and now this is a very losable fight for Kutztown. Charlotte finding one, just no tanks for Kutztown to be able to do anything right now. Means they're just going to get bullied, and they will. Monty set up maybe for a bit of a cheeky back cap here if he can find it, but Fargon Looks like he's gonna be going around the side and we'll find him. Monty forced to leave. Remech here. Mechs on both sides for both teams now, despite losing it last team fight. Tinspire will have it for this upcoming. Kutztown really spreading out. Big Rick now over to the Cassidy from the Pharah. Diva Bomb going in pretty early. We'll find Litlow. I mean, on that Zenyatta, there's really not much you can do. Tinspire seeing him in that corner and taking advantage of it. Doesn't mean that this fight is necessarily lost, but it will be way more difficult to kill these tanks without that, that Orb of Discord. And Kutztown just slowly following. This is the kind of team fight win that the Mooncakes want. They want a super slow one fight. Honestly, it's a 3v4 here. Now it's a 3v5. It looks like they will have this on lock. Owen will be falling. PK Factor will be remeching and then losing it. Might have to make his way over to that death pit on third point, but looks like they will spare him from that. Char maybe letting a little bit of the Tracer ego get to them as they tried to pulse bomb Tinspire, but just not working. I will say great defense matrix usage so far from Tinspire. Maya Hymuro with that Valkyrie. I try to keep their team up the whole team fight. Big Rick with a long range Deadeye will not find anything, but a mines will at least, proximity mines from Sponty will find a little bit of space for Kutztown on this high ground. They're in a corner here. This is not good for them though. Nothing happening so far. Fargon finding two, one shot after another. Both supports on Kutztown falling. And this is bad news for the last team fight that Kutztown will have. They're just losing players very quickly here. Fargon just kind of popping off here. So much damage, 15,000 damage on that McCree, overtaking the Echo and the Diva in damage. Just finding a couple more, and that'll be it for King's Row. Now I'm expecting that to be the last map that they decide to play, as we're kind of approaching the 10 o'clock hour. Looks like they will decide to end it there. Stay tuned for a dual interview here with Charlotte of Kutztown and Alleluia of the Mooncakes. So, we've got our players ready. We're about to pull them in here for a bit of a dual interview. Okay, Alleluia and Charlotte, welcome to the stream.
Hi, how are you guys?
Great scrim to watch. I'm doing great myself. How are you guys doing after that?
Doing well.
Doing pretty okay.
Good. So, if I can direct your attention over to the stream that Saffron has going on right now, if you could click on that. I believe the right side of that will be, we're going to go through some highlights and we're going to talk about the matches tonight. So I'll start with Kutztown here. So Charlotte, I mean, Echo play tonight has been absolutely excellent. We saw so many highlights on pretty much every map. A lot of defense, like defensive sticky bombs here. A lot of great defensive holds here. Talk a little bit about Kutztown's use of Echo and why you guys use it so much.
We're kind of phasing it in a little more because I was playing a lot of Tracer for a while. My Tracer's one of my weaker characters, but Tracer's kind of like an essential character, if that makes sense. Yeah, I practice like every character in ranked. I play pretty much everyone, so my echo mechanics are, I don't know.
Right. Well, what it means is your duplicates will always get you a little bit of value, right?
Yes,
So that, I mean, that's great. We saw
it's worth
Baptiste
investing into.
copy here. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Baptiste duplicate?
Uh, I saw BAP and I was like, easy kill.
Well,
That's really it. There's
sometimes you go monkey
like,
brain and it works out, and honestly, it did for you there. Proud of your decision. It did work out for you guys. Hallelujah. We saw Veggie's kind of your star DPS player, at least what I saw, have to leave a little bit early, and I saw Lunamare step up to the plate. So was there a mindset switch there? What kind of changes did you guys have to make after Veggie's had left?
So luckily for our team, we actually have a total of 3-star DPS players. It's Lunamare, Fargon, and Veggies. Veggies has been with us since day one of our team existing. Lunamare as well. Fargon joined a little bit later, but all 3 of them have the ability to pop off at any moment. So our team is always very reliant on that. It was sad to lose Vegas when we did, since it was so sudden, and we love our cute vegetable. But yeah, no, I'm still proud of both Fargon and Lunamare, who stepped up and played DPS in Veggie's absence, and they were fantastic and had some good moments as usual.
Yeah, I would.
It's always nicer to scrim with an entire team, so that's always my preference. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's always next man up. So.
Right. Well, let's stay on the topic of the Royal Mooncakes here, which is a great team name, by the way. Has
Thank
that
you.
been your team name the whole time, or is this a recent development?
So our original team name was actually the Holy Grail, and that transitioned into Royal Moon, which lasted about 2 to 3 weeks, and then Royal Mooncake spawned out of Royal Moon, and that's been our team name ever since, probably last year in about May-ish.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
great.
we get a lot of compliments about the name.
It's good. It's definitely hard to cast with, but it works out. Like I make it work, I think.
A lot of syllables for sure. I get that.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about we saw and we're gonna be moving on now from Kutztown's highlights. We saw a couple of surprise Bastion plays from Kutztown. They like using this little gadget pick in surprising moments. So for their own educational purposes, like what was kind of going through your guys' head when you see this Bastion show up?
And that's a question to me, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I remember the Bastion showing up on King's Road defense in like a pretty like hard fought like stall situation. That's the only time that I saw it. It definitely was a distraction for us since we were trying to focus on the fight on point, and then we had the Bastion damage coming in from the off angle. So it's never fun to have all that damage pumping in when we're trying to finish kills in different locations. So it was a really nice stall tactic. I don't know if it was used on a different map though. That's
we used it on Rialto.
Yeah, Rialto last, I believe. Yeah. So I mean, Charlotte, you were the one on Rialto who did make that pick. So talk about Kutztown's decision there. Who does that come from? And when is what conditions need to be met for you guys to make that pick?
I just saw the opportunity and I said, okay, we're going into last fight territory. We're down a couple people. Put a Bastion in an off angle. You're putting a bunch of pressure. That's really it. Yeah.
And it was interesting because we actually ended up having Hanzo for a little bit on King's Row, then we switched to Doom temporarily to get back quickly, and then the Bastion was just suddenly there. So luckily, if Bastion remained, we were probably going to just keep Fargon on Hanzo to have him gun down Bastion and apply some pressure.
Yeah, I'd love to. Right now, we're going through these highlights of Lunamare's Pharah. I mean, just rip through you guys like a lot of tonight. Hallelujah. Can you talk about your guys' strategy with Pharah, when to switch, and how to play around it, especially with a character like Wrecking Ball?
Yeah, so usually the intention is that Wrecking Ball, we all know how exciting it is to play Wrecking Ball. You kind of just fly in, eat a lot of cooldowns for your team, and make some space in the process. So the idea usually is just to go in, create a distraction in the backline, disrupt, and knock people around a bit, and then just set up early or set up easier picks for Pharah when she pumps damage in from whatever angle she's taking. So that's usually like the general idea of those comps. So whether we run Ball with it or we run like an Orisa Pharah comp like on Rialto, With Orisa, it'd be a bit different. We're more so playing to be aggressive off of Orisa halts. So he halts a backline member, and Farah can just shoot rockets into it, or even barrage if he has the ultimate up. So
Right,
essentially
right. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a great explanation. I think that Farah with that wrecking ball and the bonus damage that can get followed up after a slam is a scary thing. So, wrapping up here, I did this last week, and I'd like to make this a bit of a weekly thing. We'll start with Charlotte here. I'd like for you to name something, a strategy, some kind of play that the Mooncakes did tonight that was, you know, hard to counter, something they do very well.
I would have to say the some of the bunkering a little bit with like second point King's Row is a good example. Um, that was like some of their most coordinated comps, but at the same time, bunkering at the Rhine was a little what is it? A little harder it seemed, or it was we were giving it a little bit more trouble. I think when you guys were playing the Orisa, you guys kind of like strived a lot more.
Yeah, things were definitely
Yeah.
easier. And
Yeah.
like Kanar mentioned, that since your echo was just popping off for a lot of that, it put a lot of pressure on us if we tried running something that didn't involve the Orisa, the shield, and just the general kit. Just made things a lot easier on some of the
Right.
maps. So
Mm.
So, part two of this, Hallelujah, if you can talk about maybe what Kutztown does well from your team's perspective.
yeah, I think by far the thing that gave us the most trouble were definitely Kutztown's dive comp. So their dive comp with the Echo that we mentioned a couple times, and the Echo Tracer Winston Diva, I think, was the most common version of it today. But yeah, that comp by far was the one that gave us the most issues. It was interesting because we assumed against that comp that we could be a bit more aggressive and try to bully Ana as much as possible, since Mercy wasn't with her extremely often besides Papeeling. But yeah, we definitely even had a hard time doing that at times. So it'll leave us with some things to look at and work
Yeah.
on in the future.
Hopefully some very vaudable stuff. I think I saw a lot of really scrappy team fights that could get looked at. But it was great having you guys both on. Those were some great scrims. I'd love to see the Mooncakes back on versus Kutztown. But for now, everyone, this is Kanor for Now Loading Esports, and have a good evening.
Cheers.